we're going to be a 25, $50 million company. It's just going to happen. We're just scratching the surface right now. This year we'll do right around 3.84 million in revenue.
What's up, guys? I'm here with Steven Rogers, the owner of NW Softwash out of Washington. Many of you probably recognize him from the Upflip video about his business that just went viral. So it's awesome to have you on today, Steven.
Hey, Michael, appreciate it. Good to be on.
Cool. So first thing I wanted to jump into was just kind of your story and what got you into pressure washing in the first place.
Yeah, totally. So I came out of high school and just being an entrepreneur and always trying different things. It was something that I didn't necessarily dream of getting into, but it was something that my brother owns a window cleaning company. And he basically told me I was kind of looking to get into something. He's like, hey, why don't you do pressure washing? And I didn't think much of it, but I didn't want to be pressure washing necessarily. I didn't like that stigma. I didn't like that idea. But I ended up giving it a shot. And so that was 2019, end of 2019 when I first started. I started out as Power Shine Pressure Washing. That was our name. And as you know of us now, we are Northwest Soft Wash. So we've transitioned from doing pressure washing to soft wash. However, it's been a great success. So just kind of starting out of a bed of a pickup truck, an old pickup truck, and doing all the work myself to then starting to hire a team and growing something a little more valuable. So it's been a great ride.
That's awesome, man. So you started on, if I remember the story correctly, you started on a really small scale, right? Like even your budget was very small getting into it. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, totally. So I didn't have a lot of money, just like a lot of people that are probably watching this. Usually when you start out, you don't have a lot of money. And I think I had about $1,000 or $1,200 to spend, and I put it all in some used equipment. So I started out really small. I started out with just some small equipment, threw it all in the back of my old 92 F-150. So I had about $1,000, and I really worked for family and friends. That was my first clients. I contacted all my family, contacted all my friends, got a few driveways started, some house washes started from there, and it evolved from there. But very small budget for sure. And I think most people seem like they start with right around there, $1,000, $500 to $1,000.
So you started off, a lot of people do kind of just start off with friends and family, getting experience, getting the ball rolling. Would you say from there things kind of took off immediately, or would you say that like there's some stagnancy, some like slow time where you just had to kind of grind it out and really go all in on advertising to pick things up?
It didn't really start picking up until 2020. I think the first month in 2019, it was November. First month in sales, I did it right around $6,000, I believe. And then December of 2019, excuse me, I did a little over $10,000. So it really just started picking up. I would say that I had a pretty solid month at the end of 2019, but it really started to pick up in 2020 when we actually rebranded, and we rebranded from a pressure washing company into a soft wash company. That's when it really started picking up. But I really just dove into Facebook. I dove into social media, and I know that's something that you are super passionate about as well. But that's really when it started taking off, was 2020, when we started pouring a lot of attention into social media. It's turned out to be a great success. So social media has been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, even like paid advertising aside, just in terms of organic, your social media looks amazing, like high quality before and after pictures, good videos. Your branding is everywhere. It looks great. So yeah, you guys are killing it there. And I'm curious, is paid advertising kind of what's bringing most of the jobs, or is it a lot of repeat customers, word of mouth, organic even?
Yeah, most of it is going to be paid advertising. So there's, of course, there's the Google advertising where you're paying for people, it just depends on when people are on Google clicking, right? Versus a Facebook where it's very proactive. We're putting it out there in front of people, hoping that we're educating them, getting them ready for that purchase. And then they may go to Google, and then they'll sign up through Google, so a bunch of different ways that work. But most of our clientele right now, since we're such a young company, we just finished 3 years in business, most of our clientele is coming from paid advertising. So most of it's coming from Facebook, social media, Instagram, and the remaining is coming from Google. But since we can't really necessarily control how much flow is coming through Google, we do a lot of our proactive marketing through Facebook. And so we're able to kind of help us out through the wintertime when we're educating customers that now is a great time to clean your house or clean your roof. So by educating on Facebook, eventually flows through Google as well, but it all works hand in hand. But most of it is paid only because we're such a new business. As you get a little bit more experience, as your company grows, then we can start working on getting repeat clientele, right? But when you're first starting, you got to get as much clients through the door as possible. You don't have that referral base. You don't have the base to keep working off of. So you just got to really open up the floodgates of new leads.
Yeah. And for some people, some guys just want that one-man show where they're doing the jobs, and you can, after a few years of paid advertising, you can probably have enough repeat customers where you're not investing too much in paid advertising. You just have enough work from repeat customers and word of mouth. But in someone like in your shoes, where it kind of seems like the sky's the limit, you just want to keep scaling up, you're going to have to keep reinvesting in paid advertising, getting new customers. And yes, you're going to continue to get a lot of repeat customers, but you're never going to kind of cap out until you reach the point where you don't want to scale anymore, until you want to stop bringing on more crews and stuff like that. But I'm guessing, based on our conversation so far, you don't really have a limit to what you want to do. Do you have like a goal in mind that you have set for the business?
Yeah, there's a lot of goals. But going back to if you're doing all the work yourself, you're on the truck by yourself, you can get into a couple neighborhoods, and to your point, you can really work hand in hand with that neighborhood of like getting multiple homes on, if you're by yourself. But if you start growing a team and you're starting to grow multiple trucks, it becomes a little bit more difficult to do that. You really have to just bring in so many new leads that you can take care of. So when you're by yourself, you have a little bit more control over your time. And if it's just you that you're feeding just you're the only person that needs to eat at the table, that's different. So you can definitely work through that neighborhood and work through referrals I would say a lot easier than when you're a little bigger of a business. But that's just my point. I mean, that's just my guess. I don't know that exactly. But as far as our business and where we're going, we don't really necessarily have a certain number where we're going to be a $25-50 million company. It's just going to happen. We're just scratching the surface right now. This year we'll do right around 3.84 million in revenue, and so we're just getting started. So we've got some big plans in the next 10 years, and we'll be a company that most people will recognize as we start expanding. But it's gonna be fun. But it's a great ride.
That's awesome. And I like the fact that you said in the next 10 years, like you can tell how successful someone is or will be based on their time horizon. So people that are thinking in days, weeks, months, very short time frames are, they're short-term thinkers and not really thinking the long vision. So they won't be as successful as someone thinking the next decade, the next, 20 years, the next 5 years even. So the fact that you're thinking 10 years ahead, when a lot of guys right now in this business model, in this industry, are thinking the next month, how they're going to get jobs for the next week, what their goal is for the next, season, you're thinking already the next 10 years. And I think that's a huge takeaway right there.
Yeah, I think that's okay though. I think that's okay for us to be thinking of, hey, what's the next week? Like for a lot of us, we're trying to get on work for the next week, right? We may not be a month out. I think if you're a month booked out, you may not, your prices may not be as high as they could be, right? That you could probably raise your prices, but you always have to have that long term, right? You sure, you got to put food on the table for tomorrow, but you got to think of what's the next 5 years look like for me? What does the next 10 years look like for me? And that's really where the impact's made, right? A lot of us entrepreneurs, we're always thinking of what's next, like what else can we get into? What else can we do? But that you don't get the tenure, you don't get the understanding of the industry. So I would say having both, you got to have a long term and you got to also be working on the short term, which is hard to do. It's easy to say, but that's something that we have to be aware of, and we have to work on that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So you build out 10-year plan, however long, whatever horizon you want to, but then you can build out what you need to do this next year to hit that 10-year goal. And then to hit that 1-year goal, what you need to do over the next month, what do you need to do this week, what do you need to do today? So yeah, like exactly what you said, it's okay to think short term, but you have to have that underlying long-term vision and kind of somewhat of a plan to actually get there. Otherwise, you're kind of just growing blindly and not really on a path to anywhere specifically.
That's right. I 100% agree that. Yep.
Awesome. So in terms of the goal of around 25-30 million, which, as I'm sure you know, Actually, a lot of guys in this industry probably think, that's insane and not realistic, but it definitely, like, it 100% is, especially on the time horizon you're thinking. I'm curious, do you plan to just open up a ton of locations in Washington? Are you expanding to other states? Are you opening up a franchisee? If you're willing to talk about, of course, what your plans are.
Yeah, the plan is to, of course, expand. We only can do so much in this market right now, but we're trying to get as much out as we can in our market. So, we should easily be able to get 10, 12 million out from our market in like a, 30, 40 mile radius. But basically we'll open up some satellite locations and we'll keep it corporate. We're not going to be doing franchising right now, but we're going to be expanding, kind of open up a couple locations up north, down south. But we have a lot of work to do right here before we talk about going into some other states. We got a lot of work to do in Washington for sure.
Okay, that's awesome. So, currently the goal is 25, 30 million. And honestly, probably once you hit that, you'll want even more. So I'm sure you can definitely do that. But your current situation you're currently at, is it like 250 to 300,000? Is that what it breaks down to a month?
Yep. We're right now, we're right around 250, 300 grand a month. That's quickly changing as we get through this year, but
that's awesome. Well, first off, congrats, like that's huge. So congratulations on that.
thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm curious what the kind of operations and what the back end of the business looks like in order to be able to handle that type of output. So, like, do you have a sales team? How many crews do you have? How many trucks do you have going out? Things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot. So people, I would just say like the answer to all this is people. And I think a lot of people get stuck on the system part of it. Like, I need to build a system. I need to build documentation of what I'm doing or what I need to do. And I think that you have to do it before you can document it, right? So the people that are taking massive action, the people that are actually doing it, may not have all the perfect systems or documentation in place. That's needed to sustain it, right? But that's not needed to get it going. So, for us right now, but yeah, we have a sales team that does the in-person consultations. And then we have 6 soft wash crews right now, crews of 2. So they're the ones that go out and complete the work.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a little admin team too, service manager, couple office CSRs, and my wife helps with the books and helps on payroll side of things too. So we're still a very small operation, right around 20, 22, 23, 24 employees. But we're really just trying to expand the people that we have, like trying to grow leaders, trying to bring people to the next step with us. That way they can help make decisions. Because the CEO, the business owner, like we're the bottleneck. We're the bottleneck from really leading the team in the right direction. Because at the end of the day, we can't control everything that happens in our business. So there's so many things that happen that I don't even know of anymore. I let our service manager take care of it, or let our office manager take care of it. There's so many things that I just can't control anymore. So it really relies on the people. Like what environment, what kind of people are you bringing into your organization that can really help you expand and take you to the next level? So, and they're the ones taking care of the client, right? I'm trying to bring the vision. I'm trying to lead the team in the right direction. My people are the ones interacting with the clients, the sales reps, the lead technicians, the assistant technicians, the office girls. They're all the ones talking to the client. So at the end of the day, you have to hire great people for sure.
Yeah, that's huge right there, because a lot of people aren't growing simply because they don't have the people to grow. Like, they don't have technicians to do the jobs, or someone to handle the phones, someone doing sales. And the reason being is it's tough to find good people. Like, if you didn't have the experience of hiring and training people up, then it's definitely hard having no experience. So I'm curious, what do you look for in your hires, and why do you think you've been able to at least from my perspective, pretty successfully find the right people to put in place in economy where it's so hard to find talent?
We have an incredible team, and I don't just say that lightly. It's something that we've built over the last few years, and it's taken time. It's totally trial and error. It's totally bringing on someone that we're like, whoops, doesn't work. That's not a great fit, right? So there's definitely trial and error. It's not perfect. I would say, for someone asking that question of like, how do I build? I would say there's just not one right answer, but there's a lot of little things. There's a lot of discipline that you have to put in between. And a lot of that is, what's your vision? Like, how big is the company hoping to get? Imagine if I wanted to go out and get a job, why would I want to come work for me? If that makes sense. If I was coming to work for Northwest Softwash, I wasn't the owner. Why would I want to come work here? You have to put yourself in the employee's shoes, in this team member's shoes. So what I've tried doing is try building a vision, building a brand that people can be proud of, building a reputation that great people want to be a part of. Because when people come and work with Northwest Softwash now, they're like, wow, I want to be a part of a reputation like that. I want to be part of a professional team like that. That's incredible. So now you're bringing on a different caliber of person. But where do you start out? That's the real question for a lot of people watching this is, where do you start out? Well, you kind of got to start failing forward, right? You're not going to have everything figured out, but you're going to want to look for attitude. I always hire for attitude. I don't hire for experience. A lot of guys, they get caught up on hiring for experience and not attitude. But what happens is you bring on someone who's great at pressure washing or cleaning a roof, but they suck with a positive attitude, right? They don't have a positive attitude. They come into work a little grouchy. They're now going to talk to the client, and they don't got a smile on their face. They're not happy with what they do. It doesn't matter about having a big team. It matters about what kind of attitude do you have on the team. If I've got two candidates and one candidate, talks about all their experience and they worked for a competitor or whatever, they're great. I look at that, I'm like, sure, you got experience, but they don't have a good attitude. This other person that comes with like, I don't know anything about the business, but you've got a great reputation and I just want to go do great work, and they got a smile on their face and you can tell they're motivated. I'm choosing that other guy any day. I can train him how to wash a house. I can train him how to talk to a client. So at the end of the day, attitude wins every day.
Yeah, that's a great characteristic to go off of, because even if you have someone that's amazing at the service itself, but they just, they're grouchy, they're not happy, they're talking to customers in a poor manner, then that's going to cost you way more money than they might be generating you. Whereas you have someone that's super eager, happy to be a part of the company, speaking super well with the customers. Now that customer is happy with the service, happy with the customer service. They're going to work with you year after year, refer people to you. So one, bad hire, it's going to be costly, but in the beginning, just expect that you're going to make the wrong hire and kind of try to hedge for it. But putting attitude first, I think, can really help you hedge that, because if they have the right attitude, as long as they're willing to learn and work, then, you probably made a great hire.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, mistakes are going to be made, to your point, right? Mistakes are going to be made. So you're going to hire someone that you thought was going to be a great fit, and you're just going to have to come to grips with the decision of like, is this going to work long term, or is this not, right? And so be honest with them. You got to be honest with your people if this is going to be a great fit or if this is not, or if maybe they've got something different that it just didn't work out the way they wanted to. You got to figure that out faster. But at the end of the day, if you're an owner operator and you're working in the truck and you have someone working with you, you're with them every single day, right? You're with them every single day. You have to have someone who's got a great attitude. You have to have someone who's eager to come into work, who wants to work with you, versus it's just a job. So that's very critical in a small business, in my opinion, to really have people with great attitudes around. Yeah, and that want to win for sure.
Yeah, you're only as great as your weakest link, and if your weakest link is super low, then they're just pulling everyone else down with them. So
that's right, 100%.
Awesome. So I want to sidestep a little bit, being that paid advertising is kind of your biggest needle mover, I guess, when it comes to bringing on new customers. I'd like to dive into that a little bit. So first off, are you the one running your advertising, or do you have someone like in-house doing that for you?
We do a lot of it in-house. So we make a lot of our ad creatives, we do editing of photos, whatever, take a video. We do a lot of that in-house right now, and it's been very successful. So it's been good it's good for everyone to understand how it works before they hire it out, because that way they're able to know the process, right? So at least get an idea of how it works, or whoever's working with you to set up ads, you got to be involved. You got to know the process. That way you can know how they can best help you. If you're helping someone with ads, or they have to be able to they have to understand their business, so that way you can help them be more successful. So that's how it's worked for us. It's worked out all that way. So
yeah, for sure. And I don't want to get off track, but real quick, just on what you said, I think that's a huge point. if you're going to work with like a marketing agency, which like you can definitely try it out on your own, try to learn about it a little bit. So at least you have an idea of what they're talking about when you're trying to hire someone. But it's important that you
Mhm.
guys are communicating and on the same page, because some companies like, or some people hiring a company think it's kind of like set it and be done with it. And like, that's it. But in reality, you need data in order to make changes. So I'm sure it sounds like you're pretty involved. Like you know that you need to understand what kind of leads you're getting. Do we need to target homeowners, target higher income households? Like, are we getting people that are renters? So we need that qualitative data in order to make the right changes to
Mhm.
improve the ad. So if you guys aren't communicating, they don't really know what's going on. On paper, it might look great. Super low cost per lead looks amazing. But if it turns out that those are bad quality leads, they're not converting, then that's just money down the drain. But getting back on track, I'm curious, do you know like the metrics behind the ads, or is that something someone else kind of handles?
Yeah, we're very familiar about the metric. Of course, we have some other people outside that help us work through some of the ads, but yeah, very aware of the metrics, right? Of where we're at for sure.
Okay, cool. Which as a business owner, like you're running ads, you got to know exactly what's going
Yeah,
on. Um,
100%.
I wanted to ask just before I dive, did you want to say something real quick?
Oh no, you got to know your your acquisition costs, right? You got to know, and some of those things you can't necessarily just know from an ad and the metrics behind the ad. You got to go into your CRM and know like
Yeah.
how many jobs you have, et cetera. But anyway, yeah, you got to know what your cost per lead is. You got to know what your acquisition cost is. You got to know your average ticket. You got to know um, how many leads actually don't make it to the calendar that are dead leads or whatever you call them. So you got to know all those things. Yes, I agree. Numbers are very important.
Cool. So where I wanted to go with that, I was curious, being that you're at about, sounds like kind of right up around 300,000 per month, somewhere in that range. What does the paid advertising side of the business look like in order to achieve that? Like how much are you guys putting towards Facebook ads, Google ads, anything else, if there's anything else? How many leads are you guys getting a month? How many people does it take to manage that kind of leads? Like I'm curious as to that part.
Mhm. So as far as how the so my mindset is you got to spend you got to kind of work backwards, right? You got to have your goal of like how much sales I want to do in that month, and then you got to work backwards, dividing that by how much do you want to spend on advertising, paid advertising. Sure. So if you're at 10%, if you want to do, let's say you want to do $10,000 a month in pressure washing, well, if you've got a 10% advertising spend that you want to spend, then you're spending, what is that, a thousand a month, on advertising. So what I learned early on was, someone had asked me, if you were to pay $1,000 to make $10,000, would you do it? And it was, the answer to me early on was, of course. Like, of course, if you can get a 10x return on your money, why wouldn't you do it? So the encouragement to the guys starting out and doing this is, you should spend as much as you can on advertising if you've got big goals. If you don't have big goals, then okay, that's fine. Don't spend your money, right? But if you want to go places and if you want to make an impact, you got to spend a lot of money on marketing. You got to pay advertise. You got to spend a lot of money. So we spend anywhere from 12 to 14% of overall revenue on paid advertising, and 80% of it is social media. So 80% of it is social media, and we just spend as much as we possibly can for our area. And we still have some more room to go, but at some point we're gonna have to work on some other things. But spend as much as you can and keep track of it, because if you pay $1,000 and you make $10,000, you win. Like, you made 10x on your money. That's incredible. You won't be able to make that really anywhere else, right? That's amazing.
Yeah. And also important what you just said is keep track of it. Like if you're spending $1,000 a month, you got to know exactly what's coming from that, because if it turns out that $1,000 a month is making you lose money, then you need to allocate that somewhere else. Whereas if it turns out, like you said, you're getting 10x ROI, then you need to throw way more money onto that and keep scaling up, as long as you're in the position to do that, obviously. But
Yeah.
if you don't know your numbers, then you're probably throwing money away, wasting time and getting nowhere.
100%. And would you say that the guys that are working with you, they some of them can get frustrated, like, oh, why aren't we getting leads, or why aren't we doing this, why aren't we doing, and people give up too early. People give up too early in the process. They look
Yeah.
at the same day that they turn on their ads and they're wondering why they're not making any money. dude, you got to be patient with this. Like
Yeah.
this doesn't just, you don't just turn something on and you make money. This isn't the money, the casino printing money everywhere. Like you can't even make that kind of money over there. So what I'm saying is be patient with it. Takes some time to get things rolling. It takes a tenure of build up, right? So this is the long-term thinking. This is, if I can do this constantly over time, then it will pay off. Not just today. Like look at working out 3 times a week for 4 years, 5 years. Imagine what that's going to do to your body, right? So you got to think more long term on all this marketing stuff.
Yeah, exactly like what you just said with the people you bring onto your team. We do the same exact thing with partners, like when we're bringing on new clients, and we can find out, and I'm sure the same exact thing with your employees, within the first 1 to 2 weeks, we can find out if we made a bad decision or not. Like based on how they're handling the leads, how they're speaking with our team, immediately we can tell they have a short time horizon, and they're starting to get frustrated. They're getting all these leads, not answering the phone or something, minuscule problems where their mindset's just not right for our team, and
Sure.
we made a bad hire essentially.
Totally. 100%. Yeah.
And I'm sure you could see the same exact thing with your team. Like typically when you do make a bad hire, do you kind of notice right away, or does it take like a few months before you start to catch on?
I think it's pretty quick. You pretty quickly understand that, well, they're dragging other people down. And I think it's pretty quick. I think the faster you can realize it, and the faster you can either coach. I'm all about second chances. I'm all about seeing if we can make this work, like whatever it's going to take. If that doesn't work, you got to have a conversation. You got to make that transition fast, because it's like having a rotten apple in a fruit jar, right? Or
Yeah.
something like that, where it'll just infect everything. So you got to take care of it as soon as possible.
Yeah, or else the whole company goes to shit basically.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone feels it, especially if you're small.
Yeah.
Everyone feels it. You feel the negativity. You feel the bad attitude. It's awful, man. You got to get rid of it. You got to move on, and it'll be okay. It'll be okay without that person. You will find a way to turn, to keep going. You'll keep going. You're not dependent on one person.
Yeah.
So
if you ever are, then you got to fix that immediately.
that's right. If you're dependent on one person for your business, you've probably got a problem.
Yeah.
Just like you're not dependent on one client.
Yeah. Like even it's crazy how many times I speak to someone and I find out 90% of their revenue is coming from one large commercial contract they have. And I tell them, like, what if you lose that client tomorrow? Like, oh, that wouldn't happen. I was like, what if? And he's like, well, I guess, we'd basically be out of business. We'd have nothing going on at all, like lose 90% of our revenue for the year. So clearly you shouldn't be relying on that one thing. You got to at least hedge yourself, have other customers coming in your business. You need to make sure that you're not reliant on one person. Like if you have one person managing all of your leads, all your sales, and they get sick, then there goes all the revenue that you had coming in. So yeah, a huge point right there is make sure you're not reliant on any one person.
100%.
Cool, man. So, I mean, there's a million other things we could talk about, but definitely took up enough of your time tonight. If anyone wants to connect with you after this video, where can they find you online?
Yeah, totally. Find me on Facebook, Stephen Rogers. Follow me on Instagram, the Stephen Rogers on there too. So I'm sure you'll probably have the links down below, which is awesome. So connect with me if you guys have any questions. Would love to help. I'm on social media a lot, answering questions. So shoot me a DM. Would love to help out you guys with your small businesses too.
Yeah, guys. And if you want an example of how to run your social media as a pressure washing business, check out, is it NW Softwash?
Yeah. And Northwest Softwash, nwsoftwash.com is our business, of course.
Okay. Check out their Instagram, check out their Facebook. Obviously, don't just copy it, take it, learn from it, and then make it your own. But they're doing an amazing job with their social media. So check it out and definitely learn from that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course, man. Appreciate having you on.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. It was a great time. And if everyone watching, if you're looking for someone to help you with ads, reach out to this man here. And I know that he's been reaching out to me to get me on this podcast, which is awesome. Great to be with you, and great to speak on this call. So appreciate your time.